Hey guys, welcome to this lesson. In this one, we're going to talk about rearranging formulas. So when we're using formulas, formulas usually express one variable in terms of one or more other variables. And we've seen some of these in our volume. Volume is one variable expressed as length, width, and height. And there's lots of different formulas that you can use in real life and in other places in math. We can use our knowledge of equations and inverse operations to rewrite the formula in terms of a different variable. So what they've actually written in like the textbook or in the example is not always how you're going to use it. And sometimes you have to move it around to get it so that you have the formula in respect to the variable that you want to actually find. So I'm going to show you how a strategy we used in order to do this. So in the example, we're going to isolate a variable. Rearrange each formula to isolate the indicated variable. And we're going to do a couple different examples so you can see some different things that you need to do. So for A, the amount A dollars of an investment is given by the formula A equals P plus I. P is the principal, I is the dollars. We're going to isolate P. So this is what we're going to do for A. So what does isolate P mean? It means you're going to write the formula so that it's P equals instead of A equals P plus I. Now, when I think about it, I think about how am I going to get P all by itself? And the way we kind of do that is whatever operations are with P, in order to move the other variables or the other letters over to the other side, we're just going to do the opposite. So with this one, we have A equals P plus I. If I want to move that I, what I'm going to actually do to it is subtract it so that it's no longer on this side. If I subtract it from one side, I need to subtract it from the other side as well. So you kind of have to do it to both sides. Let me just rewrite this so it looks a little bit nicer. But what ends up happening is it looks like this, minus I. So you can see there that we have a minus I on this side and a minus I on this side. Positive I minus I will cancel out. They'll go away. And what we're left with is a formula that looks like this. So the question is, have I isolated P? Yes, I have. P is all by itself. So if you don't like it written like this, you can just rearrange the sides, like just flip the sides, and you can write it like this. A minus I. They're exactly the same thing. Let's try B. B, the volume V cubic meters of a rectangular prism with length L meters, width W meters, and height H meters is given by the formula V equals LWH. So L times W times H, and we're going to isolate H. So this one we're going to do something a little bit different. LWH. So we want to actually get the formula to look like H equals something. Now, we're going to do the same thing. If everything is multiplied on this side, in order to move it over, we're going to divide. So here's what we're going to do. V equals LWH. In order to get L and W gone, we're going to divide them, because if we divide them, they will cancel out. If you do it on one side, you have to do it on the other. So I'm going to divide both sides by L and W. The L's will cancel here, and the W's will cancel here. And we're left with V divided by L times W equals H. So now we have it isolated for H. Feel free, again, you can write this as H equals V divided by L times W. Last one, Ohm's law, I equals V divided by R. And we're going to isolate for V. Now, same thing, this one has R on the bottom, and so it's divided. So in order to move it, we have to do the opposite. So we're going to times it by R, which means we're going to times this side by R. R divided by R, that cancels. And you're left with I times R equals V. So what you really want to do is always do the opposite operation in order to move it to the other side. Here I've written a couple tips for you, Jen's tips for rearranging formulas. Always work on moving one variable at a time. Smaller steps are easier to deal with, so it's much easier to move one variable at a time. Write it out to avoid making any mistakes. It's really important you write out your steps so you can see exactly what you're doing. Always do the opposite when you move a variable to the other side. So if it's addition on the one side and you're moving it to the other, subtract it on the other side. If it's multiplication, divide it to move it over. And use one of the following strategies. Isolate, then substitute, or substitute, then solve. I'm going to show you how that works in the very next example. So here's an example. We're going to solve problems by rearranging a formula. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it, and then you can kind of do whichever way works best for you. We're going to convert 30 degrees to degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to use this formula here. Now notice we are going to have to arrange it because we have C equals, and we really want it to be F equals. So there's two ways you can do it. So method one says that you rearrange first, rearrange, then substitute. And our method two, which I'm going to show you, is where we sub and solve. And we do the rearranging as we're solving it. So first one, we're going to rearrange it. I want it to be F equals. So the first thing I'm going to do is move that 9 over to the other side. So because it's divide, when I move it over to the other side, it's going to be 9 times C. 5 F minus 32. So it's no longer on the bottom here. Then I'm going to move that 5 by dividing. And so this will go away. So we get 9 over 5 times C equals F minus 32. And the last step to get F by itself, it's minus 32. So I'm going to add 32. 9/5 times C plus 32. Once you have it there, you're going to sub in the 30 degrees and solve. So I'm going to do 9/5 times 30 plus 32. Now, don't forget that you have to follow your order of operations for this as well. So we're going to do our multiplication first and then our addition. So please make sure you're following BEDMAS as well. So 9/5 or 9 divided by 5 times 30 is 54 plus 32 gives me 86. 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So our 30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. In the second method, what you're going to do is you're going to sub it in and solve. So in this case, we're going to use it as it is. But what's going to happen, sorry guys, is we're going to do 30 equals 5 f minus 32 divided by 9. So we're going to do it a different way. We're going to solve as much as we can first. 5 divided by 9 is 0.55555. It repeats. F minus 32. Then we're going to divide 30 divided by that, which is 54. And then we'll add the 32. 54 plus 32. You notice you get the same answer, it's just I approached it a different way. So feel free, either method works. You decide which one will work for you. Last example. The area A of a circle with radius r is A equals pi r squared. Use the formula to determine the radius of a circular oil spill that covers an area of 5 kilometers squared. So in this case, A we know is 5 kilometers squared, and we're going to find r. So what I usually do is set it up. 5 equals pi r squared. And I actually like method 2, so I'm going to divide each side by pi. Divide by pi. So 5 divided by 1.5915 and 1, 5. 4, 9, and it keeps going. But we're left with r squared. And then to find out what r is, we'll just take the square root. Equals r. .591549. So r is approximately 1.26. And that's 1.26 kilometers. For B, we'll kind of do the same thing. Use the formula to find the radius when the Nerf ball is 1 meter cubed. So 1 meter cubed is our volume. 4/3 pi r cubed. So I'm going to move that 3 first. I'm going to move it over so it becomes 3 times 1 pi r cubed. So 3 equals 4 pi r cubed. Then I'm going to get rid of the 4 by dividing. This is 0.75 pi r cubed. I'm going to then get rid of the pi. Divided by 0.23873. And then I'll take the cubed root. Which gives us 0.62035, which is our radius. So either way, you can rearrange it first or sub it in and do it. But really, guys, the main thing to do with these is to do it step by step. And notice how I did each little step one at a time. And I didn't try to do 3 or 4 steps all at once. It makes it nice and easier to see, and it helps to avoid any mistakes. Best way to learn some of this is to do the practice. So I really suggest you do the practice, and don't forget to do the quiz. Bye, guys.